if cryptocurrency is not going to end income inequality and climate disaster, clearly all of these problems that we talk about on this show so often, what is a socialist solution for saving the world and ending inequality, ending suffering, ending oppression?
Great question, Toya. So I think ending the power of the big banks, ending inflation, ending all these ills is not a technological question, but a question of who runs society. As long as the ruling class is capitalist, they can control new technologies like cryptocurrency. For example, if any one person or any one entity owns more than half of the Bitcoin network, they can actually completely control the currency, meaning that they can spend other people's Bitcoins, make forgeries, and so on. And buying up more than half the network is completely possible for major banks and governments and so on. This is because we're living in a society where most of the wealth is owned by a few capitalists. And we've already seen, as Maz had said, these capitalists buying up large amounts of cryptocurrency for speculation and manipulation. The wealth that capitalists accumulate, it doesn't come straight from the government, and it doesn't come straight from the way banking works, but it comes from the appropriation of value that workers generate. So as long as factories, offices, research labs, the media, and so on, as long as those things are owned by the capitalist class, they're going to get richer off the backs of workers, regardless of how they bank or where they store their money in dollars or Bitcoins and so on. And so, the same private property rights that give Bitcoins and crypto tokens their value also condemns these new technologies to be subservient to the actual owners of private property, which is the capitalist class. So we've heard from both Manis and also like our friends. I've got friends who say this too, that they've bought Bitcoin and they're able to pay off their medical debt or their student loans and so on. And that's not a bad thing, but it's highly dangerous to gamble, and not everybody can benefit that way. So I think a socialist program would cancel student debt, and it would have free college tuition so that no one has to go into debt just to get a job, just to get an education. A socialist program would establish Medicare for all so that no one has to choose between seeing the doctor and avoiding medical bankruptcy. And these are not easy. This is much harder than paying money into Bitcoin or buying a bit of cryptocurrency. Big corporations and lenders will fight against these measures, but it's the only way where everybody can benefit, and not just the lucky few who are able to win some money on Bitcoin. And we need to organize in order to fight for the cancellation of student debt and for Medicare for all. But what we also need to do is take these large corporations into democratic public ownership. As I said before, like the rich get richer off the backs of workers, right? Because they own all of these corporations. They own all of this this capital. Socialists believe that in order for working people to truly have a say in the distribution of wealth, in the financial system, in inflation, it's not through buying into cryptocurrency, but the working class itself needs to be the class that rules society. Big banks should be taken under public ownership and democratically controlled so that we can open the books of shady corporations, so that we can have these banks and the Federal Reserve as well be accountable to ordinary people, so that they're not printing money for each other, but that the inflation targets, money printing, if that needs to happen, all of that is done for the benefit of ordinary people and not for the 1%. And if workers can take big corporations into democratic public control, we can actually do a lot of stuff with that. We can end predatory lending for good. We can wipe clean the crushing debts of working people that have paid back many times over the original amount that they had borrowed. We can also raise real wages by not having billionaires and not selling goods for profit. And this will also actually control inflation. not the way that Bitcoin is controlling inflation, because we see that the price of Bitcoin is going up and down like crazy. But inflation is not just a problem of money supply, but it's a question of both how much money there is and how much value there is in society as well. And with a rationally planned economy, we can actually balance those two and create a stable financial system that really benefits working people. And so what all of this amounts to is a complete socialist transformation of society into a society where workers, where the people that run society, the workers, also make the decisions. And this kind of society won't work in just one country either. It needs to be international in order to survive. And I think that's why I'm so proud to be part of the International Socialist Alternative and be on this show, because revolutionary international socialism is the only way to end crushing debts, raise living standards for workers, and end inequality for good.